Hey everybody, what's up? StretchDoc here. Good morning. It's Tuesday and we're about 10 days post Badwater Cape Fear 50-mile run, and things are recovering good, feeling good, and just wanted to jump on real quick and give a quick summary. Some people have asked me some questions as they've come through the office and had a couple of messages, and so just wanted to give a quick recap and let you know and answer those questions. So 10 days post run, I finished in 13 hours and 24 minutes. So that was a personal best for me. Yes, it's been since 2013 since I ran that kind of distance before. So I was pretty proud of that. And let's talk about the race. So Badwater Cape Fear is owned by Adventure Corps, who the race director, Chris Kosman, owns that. And yes, he does the race, the Badwater 135 in Death Valley, California in the middle of July. And I've helped out on crewing for that race 6 times. It'll be 7 times this year. So it's a beautiful race, and I'm excited to go back and help out Remo Spagnola this year. So stay tuned for that come July and leading up to that. But this race, super cool, out in North Carolina, Bald Head Island. You have to take a ferry across to the island. There's no cars on the island, so you're driving around on golf carts all weekend, and that's pretty fun. Great history on the island. There's a lighthouse that was built back in like the early 1800s, so some cool history. And the first part of the race, about 12.2 miles of it was through the little town itself, around the neighborhoods, and so you're on a lot of asphalt, which was pretty cool. Covered, it was some exposure, but it was just pretty to run through that whole area. After 12.2 miles, you are back at what's called the race headquarters, simply because you passed that at mile 3, mile 4, mile 12.2. It's also the finish line for the 50K mile, 50K, and then also the 50 miles. So you have to go through this point a couple times during the race. So after the 12.2, everybody's out on the beach, and you basically have a 10-mile section that you have to go out and back to complete that section for the 50 milers twice. So I came back in at 31 miles, and then you go back out. So 10 miles up, 10 miles back. So it ends up being about 40 miles on the beach. We had tailwind going one direction, and we had a headwind coming back the other direction. So sometimes it wasn't super fun, but it's always fun. If you are slower like me, I had to deal with the high tide and the low tide. Low tide is fabulous because when you're running out and even running back in, it's that hard packed stuff. If anybody's ever run on the beach and that hard, wet kind of sand, it's nice to run in. But when the high tide's in, there's none of that, and you're pushed up onto the soft sand, and just makes it a little more difficult to run. So on the last 10 miles coming back, I had pretty much almost all the soft sand coming. But again, is what it is, and it was a good day. Temperature is about low 70s, and again, we just had that wind coming and going. So overall, it was a perfect day for running out on this area. Plus, it's just a beautiful area. And as far as my race goes, so some of the questions asked, what do I eat? I had a liquid nutrition plan, and also some bars that I had. I had a peanut butter jelly sandwich to take for later. I actually had a Pop-Tart, but about somewhere in mile 20s, my stomach was just a little upset. So a lot of the solid food was out the window, so I couldn't really eat any of that. So I stick with more of my gels and got my calories in that way. I was certainly behind on what my plan was, but I think because I had done a pretty good job at the beginning and getting those in, that helped me sustain throughout the whole race. Overall, the reason we figured out my stomach was a little bit upset was I probably took in too much salt. So I'm gonna switch up some the liquid calories that I'm training with and take some of that salt out, so then I can kind of control it more with salt pills, as we continue through nutrition. And then people ask, where do you go to the bathroom? Well, fortunately, there was a restroom, porta potties at the race headquarters, and then there was one at the far end turnaround, so 10 miles. So if you had to go kind of in the middle of that, you were kind of left in the open. Didn't really see many people doing that, so I think everybody was pretty good to go either at those two locations, at the race headquarters or at the turnaround. And then people ask, what do you think about? Do you listen to music? Do you listen to podcasts? Sometimes yes to all those, and sometimes no. For this race, because it was windy and I'm wearing these Apex bone conduction headphones, sometimes can't quite hear even with the volume turned up. And after a while, like I said, the wind was blowing. I just couldn't kind of hear anything. So I just turned it off. And sometimes it was annoying me just to try and hear stuff. So mentally, I just wasn't in the mood to listen to stuff. So pretty much for the whole race, I didn't listen to anything. Just kind of went with that, enjoyed the ocean views. There was a couple times that I got kind of into a low point, and mentally this happens during these ultras, and this is where the mental game comes in. So I was just kind of picking on myself. Why is my stomach upset? Like my toes are hurting. This is tiring, this wind, so you're just picking on anything that is making you uncomfortable. So after a few minutes of my own pity party, I just basically said, okay, I recognized it and had to snap out of it. So like, okay, let's think about something else. And so then I just started paying attention to the ocean and like the beautiful sounds that it was making, and looking at the little sandpiper birds running through the water, and just anything to change your mental mindset and take it out of a negative and make it positive. And once I did that, then it was no longer, paying attention to, how upset your stomach may feel or your toes hurting. Again, it's just changing that mental mindset and being positive throughout the race, and just keeping control of that. One of the other questions I got was, how long does it take to recover from something like that? Everybody's a little bit different. Some people can recover pretty quick. Me, again, it's been about 10 days. I've already got a couple of short runs in. I did a 5-miler on Saturday, 3 miles on Sunday. Today did 5 miles, so everything's feeling pretty good. Legs were still just a little bit heavy after the Saturday, Sunday run. Toes were still a little bit sensitive, but otherwise we're feeling pretty good, and we're continuing to train. Why were my toes sensitive? So I ran in 2 different pairs of shoes. And I had trained in both of these. One was a Under Armour Torin, I believe it was. No, Hover. Under Armour Hover. And it was a trail shoe, and I ran in that on the road in training, and I also ran on it for those 12 miles and then for the 10-mile out and back on the sand. So that was 31 miles I ran into it, but somewhere during the sand, I started feeling it, my toes just banging into the front of my shoe. So, and if you're hearing that noise in the background, that's my dog playing with a cup. So, anyways, the toes were just banging into the front of the shoe for some reason, and after a while, like, it was just, it's annoying, just banging, and it actually becomes a little painful. You can feel it on almost every step. So at the 31-mile mark, I changed shoes to my other road shoes, which are Saucony's Echelon 8, and I didn't have any more problems. Although I could still feel it. It was kind of like the damage was already done, so to speak, but it was much more comfortable. And once we got back, of course, my toes were a little bit super tender. Right now, once I got back also too, I started lasering them right away, and that helped control and speed up the healing. I'm thinking I pretty much saved those toes. 2 of them are definitely purplish. Sometimes when they turn purple, they fall off. But I think I'm actually going to get lucky, and it's simply because I think it was the laser that helped that. So stay tuned for that. I'll let you know if that actually happens. But otherwise, feet are doing good. Nutrition is back on point, and recovery is doing well. So what's up next? Florida Keys 100 in about 7 weeks. So we're back on the new training block, and excited to go do for that one. It's going to be hot. It's definitely going to be humid. Vegas, obviously we don't have humidity, so it's going to be a good challenge. And we have to have a crew. So my wife is coming out to crew, and my stepson Jordan's coming out to crew. So that'll be excited. And it'll be a little bit of work for them, but we're going to get it done. And thanks to Coach Ron, he works with Sundog Running, so appreciate the help from that. Couldn't have got it done without you. And great training and great communication and feedback is always super good. what else? Let's see. Somebody asked about, that was my shoes. Where do you go to the bathroom? What do you eat? What do you think about? And why do you do it? That's the big question. Why do you run those kind of distances? And at different times I have different answers, but it always comes back. It's just a personal challenge, like simply what it comes back to. Can you do it? I believe anybody can do it if you really want to. It's no different than accomplishing any other goals. Put your mind to it, you can do it. It's hard, it certainly is. It's not easy. I've done a couple Ironmans in the past, long ago, and I personally believe that those are hard just as well, but you also get a difference of swim, bike, and run. Whereas you're running, you're just constantly running. So for 50 miles, it's challenging. And in the past, I've done the 100K, which is 62 miles, and a couple of hundreds. And again, it's once you have physical conditioning and physical strength, it really comes down to mental capacity. And as long as you can keep your mental capacity going and obviously keep your nutrition and your hydration going for as long as possible, you can finish 100. So that's the goal definitely for the Florida Keys. And again, why did I do it? Just simply because it's a personal challenge. It's probably one of the hardest things I've done. Ironmans were certainly hard as well, simply because I wasn't a swimmer. Took lessons to learn how to swim. But this one's is definitely challenging. And I think it's because you go through so many ups and downs throughout a race of when you're out that kind of distance. But I like it. I'm glad to be back, 51 years old. And it's been a while since, again, 2013 was the last time I ran a 50 mile or I tried for 100 and I dropped to 80 miles back then. So again, it's been a few years. So I'm excited. Stay tuned, and thank you guys for following along and giving me much encouragement along the way. I saw all the comments and cheers on Facebook and Instagram, so I certainly appreciate that. And again, if any of you guys got any questions, certainly let me know. I'm more than happy to share and tell what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. And let's go. Everybody have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace out.